The stars were quiet. Too quiet. Across the dark expanse of the Varlan cluster, alien civilizations had grown used to peace, almost too used to it. Ships drifted silently between planets, their crews going about their routines, never imagining that something beyond their understanding could change everything in a single moment. Captain Rylak of the Droneth fleet stared at the blinking console, unease knotting his stomach. "Sensors are showing nothing," he said. But he didn't sound confident. No ships, no energy signatures, just empty space. His first officer, Lyra, frowned, her long fingers tapping on the control panel nervously. "Sir, we've scanned the sector 3 times. There's no activity, no warp trails, nothing." Rylak leaned back in his chair, eyes narrowing. "It's like the humans disappeared entirely. And yet, the report said they were here. At one point, they were everywhere. They're myths, Captain," Lyra said. "Legends told by traders and old explorers. Humanity hasn't been seen for centuries." Rylak shook his head slowly. "Legends don't leave empty sectors behind. Legends don't leave this much. Silence." Far away on the edge of known space, a tiny human scout ship slipped through the void. Its hull was battered but fast, glowing faintly under the light of distant stars. Inside, Commander Elena Hayes checked the readouts. "Prepare the fleet," she whispered into the communicator. Her voice was calm, but her eyes burned with determination. It's time they learn the truth. Back in the Varlon fleet, the alarm light suddenly blinked red. "Unidentified ships approaching," shouted a young officer. Rylak slammed his hand on the console. "Show me." The main screen flickered and revealed dozens of sleek, angular vessels appearing out of nowhere. Their formation was precise, almost terrifying in its coordination. "They're human," Lyra whispered. Her voice trembled. The Droneth had studied humanity, yes, but only through old records. Only through myths and fragmented stories. No one alive had actually seen them in centuries. Rylak didn't respond immediately. He felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold of space. It can't be. Humanity was supposed to be gone, destroyed in the wars, scattered across legends. The human ships held their position just outside the Droneth borders. They did not attack yet, but their presence alone made the Varlon commanders uneasy. Every sensor, every scanner was struggling to read their energy signatures. The technology was unlike anything they had encountered. It was advanced but elegant, almost alive. On the human flagship, Elena watched the Varlon vessels. "We don't need to strike first," she said. "Let them see us. Let them know what they've been missing." Rylak tried to rally his officers. "All squadrons prepare for defensive maneuvers. Shields at maximum. Weapons ready." He could feel the tension in the air, the same tension he had felt as a cadet when first entering combat simulations. But this was different. This was real, and the enemy they faced was human. The humans moved slowly, deliberately, their ships forming a massive arc across the void. Their engines glowed faintly, a light that seemed almost natural in the darkness. Every Varlan pilot stared at them in awe and fear. There was a strange elegance in their formation, something the Droneth had never seen in any alien fleet. And then, a voice came over the comms, calm and authoritative. It was human. "We come in peace," the voice said. "We are here to reclaim what is ours. Any aggression will be met with overwhelming force. This is your only warning." Rylak's mouth went dry. He had trained for years, fought wars, and commanded fleets. But nothing had prepared him for this. "Peace?" he muttered. "They are showing peace. And yet, I feel like the galaxy itself is trembling." Meanwhile, in the distant observation decks of other alien worlds, transmissions were already spreading. Traders, scientists, and smugglers all stopped in shock. Everywhere, beings paused, unsure if the legends were real or if this was some cosmic trick. Humanity was back, and they were not weak. They were not scattered. They were an armada. Back on the human flagship, Elena watched the sensors carefully. Every move of the Droneth fleet, every hesitation, every uncertain response was recorded. "We must be careful," she told her officers. "We show strength but not cruelty. They must understand. Humans are not a myth." In the Droneth command room, the mood was tense. Officers whispered nervously, speculation running wild. "Could it be a trap?" someone asked. "Could the humans be extinct and these are simulations?" Rylak didn't answer. He couldn't. His hands trembled slightly as he gripped the console. Somewhere deep inside, he knew that no myths could have done this. No stories could have predicted the scale, the precision, the quiet confidence of these human ships. And yet here they were, the Varlan fleet prepared for battle they hoped would never come. But deep in their hearts, every commander knew it wasn't just preparation. It was awe. It was fear. And for the first time in centuries, the galaxy realized that legends could come alive, and humanity was ready. The silence of space was broken by 1,000 whispers, though no sound traveled in the void. The Droneth fleet held its formation, every captain unsure of what to do. Their sensors could barely track the human ships, and the humans' calm, deliberate movements only made the tension worse. Captain Relix's hands hovered over the controls. They aren't attacking. Not yet. His voice sounded hollow even to him. Lyra shook her head, her eyes wide with disbelief. Sir, I've never seen anything like this. Their shields, their engines. It's all beyond our comprehension. Beyond our comprehension, yes, Relak muttered, but not beyond their reach. They've been out there growing stronger while we were busy fighting each other. On the human flagship, Commander Elena Hayes watched the Droneth fleet closely. Her crew moved with precision, but there was no hurry. Every ship, every formation, every maneuver was part of a plan that had been years in the making. We will not strike first, she told her second-in-command. Let them make the mistake of underestimating us. They have done so for centuries. Meanwhile, the Varlan observers, stationed on nearby planets, transmitted frantic messages to their governments. Entire star systems paused. Every being who had heard the old legends of humanity could barely believe their eyes. The myths were true. Humans were real, and they had returned not as scavengers or refugees, but as an organized, unstoppable force. Relak tried to keep his fleet together. He ordered scanning drones forward, hoping to gather more data on the human ships. But the drones disappeared as soon as they approached, leaving no trace.
What is happening?
Shouted one officer. Our probes, they vanish instantly. They are not like any known technology, Rylak said quietly. It's as if the ships anticipate us. The human ships moved slowly, forming a triangle that cut through the void like a blade. Each vessel seemed alive, responding instantly to the movement of the others. The Varlan fleet scrambled to adjust their positions, but it was no use. Every maneuver they tried was met with a countermove they could not predict. On board the human flagship, Elena smiled faintly. It's working, she said. They are already guessing, already reacting. Let them see the precision of humans. Let them understand what legends really mean. Back in the Droneth command room, tension mounted. Officers whispered theories about human tactics, but no one could agree on anything. Some suggested retreating. Others insisted on a preemptive strike. Relak's mind raced. Every choice seemed wrong. Every move could trigger a disaster. And then, from the edge of the fleet, a small human scout appeared. It moved fast, dodging Droneth interceptors with impossible agility. Sensors couldn't lock onto it. Within moments, it had delivered a single message directly into the command network. A calm, authoritative voice echoed across the fleet. We do not wish for war. But if attacked, your destruction will be swift and complete. We give you one chance to step aside and survive. The message left the Droneth officers frozen. Some stared at the screens in shock. Others whispered prayers to gods they had long abandoned. Relak's hand shook. Step aside, or face annihilation, he repeated. Legends don't demand mercy. They issue warnings. Far from the chaos, human ships maintained their formation almost motionless against the void. Their crews trained, disciplined, and alert. Elena knew every eye was on her command, every sensor tracking the smallest movement. The galaxy thinks humans are weak, she said. They will learn otherwise. They will see that what they called myth is reality. A Droneth strategist suggested sending a small strike team to board the human flagship. Relak's eyes narrowed. And do what? Capture legends? Fight ghosts? The room fell silent. No one had a plan. No one had the courage to act. The humans did not behave like any enemy they had faced. They were not aggressive, but their power was undeniable. The humans, meanwhile, continued to advance slowly. Not a single weapon fired, yet their presence alone shifted the balance of the galaxy. Every fleet, every world that witnessed them felt it. They had returned, and with them came the knowledge that the old stories of humanity, of cunning, strength, and unity, were not exaggerations. They had been warnings. Back on the Droneth flagship, Relak took a deep breath. He tried to steady his voice. Prepare for diplomacy, he ordered. We must speak to them. But carefully. We cannot afford mistakes. Lyra leaned closer, her expression grim. Sir, do you think they'll even listen? Relak did not answer. He didn't know. But deep down he realized the galaxy had changed forever. The humans were back, and nothing would ever be the same. As the fleets hovered in the silent darkness, a single thought echoed in every mind. The legends were not stories. Humanity had returned, and they were ready. The silence of space was thick, almost heavy. The Droneth fleet hovered tens of thousands of kilometers from the human Armada, unsure whether to advance or retreat. Every ship bristled with weapons, every crew member tense, yet no one dared make the first move. Captain Relak stood at the command console, staring at the formation of human ships. The calm precision of their lines made him uneasy. How do we fight something that doesn't behave like an enemy? He murmured. His first officer, Lyra, shook her head. Sir, I've never seen fear like this in the fleet. It's done new. It's not just wariness. It's respect. And fear. The humans were not attacking. They drifted silently, engines humming faintly, weapons at the ready but idle. It was a test, and Relak knew it. The myths had told stories of human cunning, of how they could turn hopeless situations into victory. He had dismissed them as legends, but now, the legends were staring him in the face. On board the human flagship, Commander Elena Hayes studied the Droneth reactions. Every twitch of their vessels, every hesitation of their officers was carefully noted. They're trying to guess us, she said. Let them waste their energy in fear. Patience is our weapon. A young human officer pointed to the holographic display. Commander, sensors show their strike squadrons are adjusting formations. They may try something soon, Elena nodded. Then we will meet them halfway. Prepare the intercept teams, but do not fire unless fired upon. They must see we are not aggressive. But we are ready. In the Droneth command room, tension reached its peak. Relak's fleet had begun moving cautiously toward the human ships. Every maneuver was calculated, every move a potential mistake. Officers muttered warnings about traps and ambushes, but Relak could see the same doubt reflected in their eyes. And then it happened. A single Droneth scout ship moved too close, driven by overconfidence. Sensors lost it for a moment, and then it exploded, not with fire or metal shrapnel, but with a silent pulse that disabled every nearby system. The fleet froze. No one understood what had happened. Ships powered down, alarms blaring as their sensors struggled to pick up the human craft responsible. Elena's voice came over comms, calm and deliberate. That was a warning, she said. No one was harmed. But know this. Any attack, any aggressive maneuver will be met with overwhelming response. Step back and we may speak. Advance and you will regret it. Relak's hands shook slightly as he gripped the console. They are. Testing us, he muttered. Every movement is a test. Lyra nodded. Yes, they want to know how we think, how we react, maybe even what we fear. The Droneth fleet moved cautiously backward, trying to regroup and maintain formation. Officers whispered about human strategy, about legends of their ability to outthink any opponent. Some believed the humans were gods of war, while others suspected they were hiding some secret weapon. Meanwhile, Elena ordered small teams to scout the outer edges of the fleet. These ships moved like shadows, silent and invisible, returning reports that only deepened the Droneth's unease. Every maneuver was precise, every data point calculated. Humans were not chaotic, not reckless, they were meticulous. On the observation decks of allied civilizations, transmissions spread quickly. Every system tuned in, fascinated and fearful. Entire populations watched as the Droneth fleet, a power they considered invincible, hesitated before a force they thought extinct. Humanity had returned, and in their return was a lesson in strategy, discipline, and power. Back on the human flagship, Elena reviewed the reports. Her crew worked silently but efficiently, ready for any eventuality. We do not seek conquest, she told them. We seek acknowledgement. Let the galaxy see that humanity has returned. Let them understand our place, not through fear but through undeniable presence. A junior Droneth officer approached Relak nervously. Sir, should we communicate? Or do we wait for them to strike? Relak stared at the human ships, the calm but intimidating formation. He realized there was only one choice. We send a message, he said. But cautiously. We cannot show weakness, and we cannot show panic. The Droneth fleet broadcast a signal requesting a meeting. The humans responded almost instantly. "We will meet," Elena said, "but on our terms." As preparations began for the first official encounter, tension in both fleets was electric. Every commander understood the stakes. One misstep could trigger a war that would engulf the cluster. But for the first time, the Droneth and their allies realized something deeper. Humanity was not just strong. Humanity was clever, disciplined, and united. Legends, yes, but now living, breathing, and in control. And in the quiet darkness of space, as ships maneuvered and sensors blinked, one thought spread quietly but insistently among the alien crews. Humanity had returned, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The void between the fleets was tense, as if space itself was holding its breath. Captain Rylak's eyes scanned the horizon, trying to anticipate human moves. Every sensor flicker, every blip of movement, was analyzed and debated among his officers, yet none could find a pattern that made sense. "They are waiting for us to act," Rylak muttered, gripping the console tightly. Lyra leaned over, frowning. "Or they are testing us. Every fleet has weaknesses. We just need to find theirs, but the humans seem flawless. Their ships moved with perfect coordination, shields shimmering faintly, weapons ready but restrained. It was not aggression. It was patience, discipline, and power combined." Every Droneth captain felt the unease settle like ice in their veins. Commander Elena Hayes watched through her flagship's main viewport. Her eyes scanned the distant fleet. "We will make the first impression," she said. "But carefully. Show strength but not unnecessary destruction. The galaxy must see humans as precise, controlled, unstoppable." Suddenly the silence broke, not with a battle cry but with a calculated strike. Small human ships darted forward, weaving between the Droneth scouts with impossible speed. They disabled weapons, jammed communications, and left the alien vessels bewildered. No lives were lost, no hulls destroyed, yet the effect was devastating. The Droneth fleet could barely coordinate, their attacks failing before they even began. "Impossible," shouted a junior officer. "How can they move like that and avoid every defense?" "They are not just ships," Rylak said quietly. "They are humans, and they think differently." Elena smiled faintly as she watched the results. "They learn quickly," she said. "We just need to show them the difference between legend and reality." The Droneth admirals attempted a counter-strategy, sending a small strike squadron toward the human fleet's left flank. Sensors flared as energy signatures appeared. But before the squadron could engage, the humans anticipated every move. Within moments, the attackers were surrounded, their engines overloaded by invisible electronic pulses. The Droneth vessels drifted helplessly, forced to retreat. On the bridge, Lyra gasped. "They predicted us. Every move! How is this possible?" Rylak clenched his teeth. "They're not just reacting. They are reading us, predicting us. They don't just fight, they outthink us." Meanwhile, Elena ordered her crews to maintain formation, ready to strike only if absolutely necessary. "We do not seek blood," she reminded her officers. "We seek respect. Fear is a tool, not a goal. Show them human precision, and they will understand." Across the galaxy, distant fleets watched transmissions from the engagement in awe. Even beings from the most advanced civilizations could barely comprehend what they were seeing. The humans, thought extinct, had returned not as survivors but as masters of strategy and technology. Legends had never been this real. Rylak convened an emergency council with his top officers. "We must rethink everything," he said. "Weapons, formations, tactics, everything we know is useless against them. They do not fight like any enemy we have ever faced." A strategist hesitated. "Sir, maybe we should negotiate?" Rylak shook his head. "We can try, but negotiation is meaningless if they can destroy us without firing a shot. We must be clever, or we die." Elena, watching from her flagship, initiated a new maneuver. Small human ships fanned out silently, encircling the outer edges of the Droneth fleet. Not a single shot was fired, but panic rippled through the alien forces. Sensors could not track every move, engines could not outpace the humans, and weapons could not respond to attacks that had not yet happened. A Droneth officer whispered to his neighbor, voice trembling. "It's like they are everywhere at once, and nowhere." Elena's voice came over the comms, calm and controlled. "We are not monsters. We do not destroy without cause. But understand this, your fleets are outmatched. Your tactics are predictable, and your myths. They are no longer stories. We are real. The Droneth fleet reeled. Captain Rylak felt the weight of centuries of arrogance crumble. Every fleet that had ever dismissed humanity now faced the undeniable truth. Humans were not myths. They were not weak. They were legends living among the stars, and they had returned to reclaim their place. Rylak clenched his fists. We have survived so long believing in our strength. And yet that we are already behind. We are facing history in motion. We are watching humanity take its place. Elena watched the reactions, every display of fear, every hesitation, every misstep, recording it carefully. Let them learn, she said softly. They will either adapt or fall, and when the galaxy understands, humanity will be ready for whatever comes next. As the Droneth fleet struggled to regain composure, the human armada held steady, a calm but undeniable presence in the darkness. Every ship, every pilot, every decision was precise, disciplined, and deliberate. The first engagement had not resulted in bloodshed, but it had made one thing clear. Humanity had returned, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The galaxy was holding its breath. Word of the human armada spread like wildfire, carried by transmissions, traders, and fleeing scouts. Even civilizations far from the Varlan cluster paused to watch, uncertain whether this was a miracle or a catastrophe. Captain Rylak sat in the command room, staring at the flickering holographic display. His fleet had barely survived the first human engagement without serious losses, yet the humans had barely lifted a finger. "How do we fight them?" he muttered. "Every move we make." They anticipated. Lyra leaned closer. "Sir, intelligence suggests their fleets are linked, not just through technology, but through strategy. They think as one unit. Every ship, every pilot reacts instantly. It's terrifying." On board the human flagship, Commander Elena Hayes studied the Droneth movements carefully. "They are learning," she said, calm and precise. "We must be ready for them to adapt. But adaptation is their weakness if we stay unpredictable." Elena's second-in-command nodded. "Shall we continue the maneuvers, Commander?" "Yes," she replied. "But subtly. Let them see strength, let them taste hesitation, but never panic. Legends are not forged in destruction. They are forged in presence." The humans began to push forward, not aggressively but strategically. Small skirmishes disrupted Droneth patrols. Electronic interference scrambled communications, and isolated ships were forced to retreat silently. Every engagement was a lesson, a demonstration of power without needless destruction. In the Varlan fleet, whispers began to circulate. Officers debated alliances, calling for reinforcements from neighboring clusters. "We cannot face humanity alone," one admiral said. "We need allies or we will lose everything." Rylak nodded grimly. "Send requests. But be careful. Any fleet that joins us will also be facing the humans. They may not survive either." Meanwhile, Elena initiated reconnaissance far beyond the immediate conflict zone. Small human ships silently explored adjacent sectors, scanning planets, moons, and hidden installations. They moved with precision, leaving no trace, gathering intelligence not for conquest but for understanding. On a distant Droneth moon, ambassadors from allied civilizations gathered. Holographic feeds displayed the human armada, some envoys whispered in disbelief. "They thought humanity extinct," one said. "And yet, they command the stars." Another diplomat added quietly, "It is not just their ships, it is their strategy, their discipline, their ability to move as one mind. Legends cannot fail if they are this united." Back in the Droneth command room, Rylak considered his options. Retreat was unthinkable. It would be a stain on centuries of Droneth dominance. Attack was suicide. Diplomacy was uncertain at best. And yet something deep inside told him that time was running out. Humanity was patient but not infinite. On board the human flagship, Elena reviewed the gathered intelligence. Systems, fleets, and worlds were mapped, weaknesses noted, but no move was made hastily. "We show restraint," she reminded her officers. "Strength without control is chaos. Humans are not myths of destruction. They are legends of precision." The humans' subtle pressure began to have its effect. Allied fleets hesitant to join the Droneth now reconsidered. Many sent envoys quietly, eager to observe and perhaps align with the new power rising. The galaxy was shifting and humans were the axis. Rylak, feeling the strain, made a decision. "We must strike a balance," he told his officers. "We continue to resist, but we open dialogue. Perhaps we can learn their intentions before it is too late. A droneth envoy was dispatched, crossing vast distances to meet human representatives. When the human ships received the message, Elena smiled faintly. "We will meet them," she said, "but only to show the truth. Humans are no longer myths. We are the reality they must accept." When the envoy arrived, the humans maintained their calm, deliberate posture. No weapons were raised, but every ship and every pilot radiated precision and confidence. The droneth representatives felt the weight of centuries of human legend pressing down on them. "Centuries have passed since the galaxy last saw humans," Elena said softly, addressing the envoy. "We have returned not to conquer for greed, but to reclaim our place. Those who choose cooperation will find honor. Those who choose aggression will see the price of underestimating humanity." Back in the droneth fleet, reports from the meeting spread quickly. Some officers felt relief at the calm approach, while others felt fear. Humans had shown restraint, but in that restraint lay far more danger than a direct attack. Patience, planning, and intelligence were weapons more lethal than any cannon. Elena watched the stars silently, her mind already planning the next steps. The galaxy was awake again, and humans were ready. Every fleet, every world, every civilization would now judge her species by their return, not their legends. And humanity would prove that stories were not exaggeration. They were a warning. Across the droneth command room, Relak exhaled deeply. He realized that the galaxy had changed forever. Humanity was back, disciplined, united, and unstoppable, and now he had to find a way to survive, not through strength alone, but through cunning, diplomacy, and hope. And in the quiet darkness of space, the legend of humanity grew not with destruction, but with presence. The galaxy held its breath. For centuries, the legends of humanity had been whispered, doubted, and dismissed. Now they were real. The human armada, silent and precise, dominated the void with an authority no one had seen before. Captain Rylak's fleet had regrouped, but the tension was unbearable. Every droneth officer knew the humans were not just advanced. They were unmatched in strategy, foresight, and discipline. Even now they waited as if expecting the next move, calculating centuries of experience into every decision. "They've been patient," Lyra whispered, staring at the screens. "Too patient. They're planning something massive," Relak nodded grimly. "They are not reckless. They are humans, and they do not forget. We cannot surprise them. We cannot outfight them. We can only survive." On board the human flagship, Commander Elena Hayes watched the droneth communications carefully. "They still do not understand," she said softly. "This is not just about war or fleets. It is about showing the galaxy what humanity really is. Strength, yes, but wisdom, precision, and unity, too." Elena's officers moved quickly, coordinating maneuvers across the entire armada. Small fleets fanned out, scanning distant sectors, securing positions, and disrupting any attempt at resistance without firing a single destructive shot. Then, the humans revealed the first demonstration of true power. From deep within the flagship, a massive energy field expanded silently, encompassing a section of the droneth fleet. Systems went offline instantly. Ships drifted powerless, their crews helpless to react. No lives were lost, no hulls shattered, yet the message was clear. Humanity could dominate without destruction, and anyone who opposed them would regret it. Relak felt his stomach tighten. "It's overwhelming," he muttered. "They could destroy us completely, yet they choose restraint. Every step is calculated, every action deliberate." The human armada continued to advance strategically, securing key sectors, establishing control without bloodshed. Reports from allied civilizations arrived rapidly. Fleets that had once ignored humanity now sought cooperation, offering allegiance or assistance. The galaxy was shifting, not through fear alone, but through respect. Elena watched the reports, noting every detail. "They must understand," she said. "They must know that underestimating humans was the gravest mistake they could make." A droneth envoy approached the human flagship under strict orders. Every officer on both sides knew this was more than a diplomatic mission. It was a reckoning. Elena addressed them calmly. "Centuries ago, your civilizations doubted us. You dismissed humans as myths, stories to frighten children, and yet here we are. We have returned not to conquer recklessly, but to restore balance, to remind the galaxy that humanity is more than survival. It is unity, strength, and intelligence. The envoy's eyes widened. Centuries of arrogance and superiority now faced a quiet but unstoppable force. We underestimated you, the envoy admitted. Wait, we see the truth now, Elena nodded. Then act wisely. Those who align with humanity will prosper. Those who resist will learn that stories are never exaggerations. They are warnings. In the following hours, the Droneth fleet and their allies began to comply. Fleets that had once sought to challenge humanity now offered safe passage, surrender, or alliance. The humans accepted none blindly, testing each carefully. Every decision was calculated, every move deliberate. Relax sat back, exhausted but clear-eyed. The galaxy had changed. Humans were not myths. They were legends, and they had returned in full force. Nothing could ignore them. Nothing could stop them, and nothing would ever see the universe in the same way again. Elena watched the stars silently, her mind already planning the next steps. The galaxy would know humans not just for their ships or weapons, but for their intelligence, unity, and determination. Humanity had returned to reclaim its place, not through fear, not through tyranny, but through undeniable presence. A young human officer turned to Elena, whispering, "Commander, they're finally seeing it. The legends are real." Elena smiled faintly, her eyes reflecting the distant starlight. "Yes," she said softly, "and this is only the beginning." Across the void, the galaxy shifted quietly, irrevocably. Stories that had once been dismissed as myths were now reality. Every civilization, every fleet, every being that had ever doubted humanity now understood the truth. Humans were back. Stronger, smarter, and united. The galaxy would never forget the return of the human armada. And as the humans held their position in the stars, calm but unyielding, one thought echoed in every mind. The legends were not exaggerations. Humanity had returned. Humanity was unstoppable.